They fined me $20,000, said I was hoarding water with the dam I built on my own land. The president of the HOA threatened to take my house if I didn't drain it. So I gave her exactly what she asked for, and the flood she demanded came crashing down right on top of her dirty little secret. When my wife Annie passed away, the silence in our home was deafening. I tried tinkering in my workshop, tried fixing old machines, but my hands felt useless. Grief sat heavy on my chest, made it hard to breathe. One day, I walked the back gully where a creek used to flow, now just cracked dirt after years of drought. Annie had always dreamed of bringing it back. "Water is life, Rick," she'd tell me. Standing there, I finally felt a flicker of purpose. I spent 30 years in the Army as an engineer building systems to hold back rivers. This dam wasn't about work. It was about her and about me still trying to breathe. I designed it myself, filed the permits, got everything stamped and approved. Spent a whole summer mixing concrete setting rebar, shaping the earth with my old loader. When the gates closed and the runoff pooled, the land sighed with relief. Willows, greened-up deer came to drink, kids from the neighborhood fished from the banks. For the first time since Annie's funeral, the place felt alive again. Then the letter came. Cream envelope, HOA logo embossed like a warning label. I opened it, expecting junk mail. Instead, I got slapped in the face a $20,000 fine. Signed by Janice Wilmer, the new HOA president. I'd seen her before, hard helmet of hair, sour expression, patrolling in her golf cart like a warden. She called my dam an unauthorized hydrological obstruction, accused me of hoarding water. Hoarding it from what? The dust. I gathered my permits, county stamps, inspection reports, everything neatly in a folder. I walked into the HOA meeting early, sat in the back. Stale coffee and entitlement filled the air. When it was my turn, I stood and said, "My name is Rick Mallister. I received this letter. Here's my county permit and inspection approvals. I'd like to clear this up." Janice didn't even look at me. She tapped her little gavel, smug smile on her face. "That is not on the agenda," she said, her voice sharp enough to cut. "You are not a recognized speaker." The room went silent. People stared at the floor. I tried to protest, to point out this was a $20,000 issue. She cut me off again. "This is a closed session. Submit it in writing." Her eyes dared me to fight back. That was the moment I realized I had brought engineering documents to a knife fight. I mailed them, everything certified. County permits, maps, signed inspections. Even called Dave Henderson at the County Water District, who sighed and said, "Some of these HOAs think they're their own government." He sent an inspector who looked at the dam and said, "Better built than half the culverts in this county." He signed an official report right there. I thought that was the end. But a week later, I got another fine, now $21,500 plus $100 a day. They ignored the county. They doubled down. That's when they sent Chuck, their so-called compliance officer. Stocky guy in a knockoff security uniform. First time I saw him, he was standing just off my property line taking notes. The second time, I caught him 50 yards inside snapping photos of my barn. I walked up with Duke, my old shepherd, growling at my side. "You're trespassing, Chuck." He puffed his chest. "I'm a compliance officer. I have a right to inspect." I stepped closer. "The sign says no trespassing. That applies to everyone. Next time I call the sheriff." He smirked but backed away. Then the lien notice came. HOA had filed with the county clerk if I didn't pay or cure the violation in 90 days, they could foreclose. Take my land, Annie's land. The one piece of peace I had left in this world. I sat in my truck, hands shaking, staring at that paper. My lungs felt crushed. For the first time since the doctor told me Annie wouldn't make it, I broke. I thought maybe they were right. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should just drain the damn thing, sell the land, and disappear. That night I walked down to the water. The sunset painted the pond gold. A doe and her fawn bent their heads to drink. Frogs started their chorus. This place was alive. It was everything Annie and I dreamed of. And the HOA wanted it gone. My grief cooled into something else, something sharp, steady. Anger, yes, but also clarity. "Fine," I whispered. "You want the water gone? You'll get it. I pulled the tarp off an old piece of steel in my workshop, the original gate release mechanism I'd designed but never installed. Over-engineered hydraulic remote controlled. I spent weeks reinforcing the dam, pouring more concrete, drilling and rebar. At night, I welded, calibrated, tested. This wasn't revenge, this was precision. Then, Marty, my neighbor, told me he'd overheard something at the hardware store. HOA was planning to build a clubhouse right in the gully exactly where my runoff would flow. No permits, no care for safety. That explained everything. My dam wasn't a danger, it was just in their way. So I wrote one final email. Calm, professional. The obstruction you cited will be removed. The dam will be emptied effective at 7:15 p.m. October 19th during your next scheduled board meeting. Please notify any residents downstream. I hit send. The night of the meeting, rain hammered the roof. The pond was full pressing against reinforced walls. Janice stood at the podium, smug and glowing. I'm pleased to report, she said, the homeowner has agreed to comply. The structure will be removed. Applause rippled through the room. I checked my watch. 7:14. I slipped my phone out, thumb hovering over the green circle on the app. At 7:15 exactly, I pressed. Miles away, steel gates swung open. Water surged into the old creek bed, strong but controlled, just as nature intended. At first, nothing in the room changed. Then phones buzzed. A man shouted, "My driveway's flooding." People rushed to the doors. Outside, a 30-foot-wide river tore through the gully straight into the illegal fill dirt the HOA had dumped. The mound crumbled, blocking the flow, forcing water sideways. Retaining wall snapped like a breadstick. The road washed away sheds, collapsed backyards, flooded. Janice spun toward me, finger trembling. "What did you do?" I stood calm. "You wanted the dam empty," I said, meeting her eyes. "It is." Headlights cut through the storm, a news van. Cameras rolling. I handed the producer a waterproof USB. On here are county permits, inspection reports, and your president's emails demanding I drain the dam tonight. He stared, realizing this wasn't an accident. This was a story. By morning, the footage was everywhere. Veteran versus HOA blared across headlines. County inspectors descended, finding shoddy walls, undersized culverts, and worst of all, an old hydrology report warning them this would happen. They'd buried it, fired the consultant, and hired Janice's brother-in-law to do the work. The community turned. Neighbors who'd been silent now shouted. An emergency meeting was called. 2/3 of homeowners signed the petition. The auditorium filled, cameras flashing. I walked to the podium. Fact 1, I held up the county permit. My dam was legal, inspected, and safe. I set it down. Fact 2. I held up the buried hydrology report. This board was warned their construction would cause flooding. They ignored it. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Fact 3. I read my own email aloud. The dam will be emptied at 7:15. They knew. They said nothing. Applause erupted. Janice tried to scream over it, calling me a criminal, saying I planned it. A neighbor, a lawyer, stood up and cut her off. According to the bylaws, a motion is on the floor. I move for the immediate resignation of the board. Hands shot up, nearly every one. The motion passed. Just like that, her power vanished. Janice stood pale and shaking. She walked off the stage, no crown, no throne, just a hollow woman stripped of the control she worshipped. And that's where the story ends. She tried to take my home with lies and fines, but in the end she was defeated by the simplest force on earth. Gravity. Lesson learned. Never mistake power for control, because when nature pushes back, all the rules in the world can't hold the flood.